I'm feeling, and I'll tell you what, and seeing you, I can see sizzle thin works. You've got to redo your picture.
It's working, man. I'll tell you what, even when I cheat, I'm losing weight.
I'm the same way now. And everyone, I haven't seen in the last 6-8 months are like, what? Have you been sick? Have you lost weight? I said, I feel great. And I have lost a lot of weight. So
yeah, I've lost almost 50 pounds. I'm kind of holding. It seems like I go on these plateaus and then I lose weight and I'll lose 2, 3, 4 pounds. I mean, the last time I was on a plateau for almost 3 weeks and it just wasn't, nothing was changing. And then one day I jumped on the scale and I was 7 pounds down.
Right. Without doing anything but taking sizzle thin.
And sleeping. Yeah, it's amazing. My cousin came over last night. There was a knock on the door about 9 o'clock last night, and my cousin came over, and he hadn't seen me he hadn't seen me since last fall during hunting season, and he's like, "Holy crap, what have you been doing?"
Right. Where's the rest of you?
Right? Yeah, almost 50 pounds, and Tom, I mean, really honest, I've got another 30, 40 pounds to go to get to where I want to be, and so. By hunting season, I'll be down there.
But it is nice. It's nice to get on the scale and say, where did that 3 pounds go?
Oh, and my son and I had lunch here just a couple hours ago, and I made a big salad. We had some blackened Brussels sprout leaves with bacon, and then some big old ribs, and that's what we had. I mean, and we ate a lot. And he said, this is what you eat and you're losing weight. And I said, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, here on my desk, I have it right here. In my truck, in my console, I have it right there. By my bathroom sink, I have it right there. And I'm not afraid to take it 3 or 4 times a day. I'll pop 2, I take 2, because that's the nice thing. It's always working.
And how many times a day do you take 2?
Religiously, twice. But I've gone 3 and 4 times. I'm not afraid to take it. You're not going to have a problem if you take too much. And so, because by having that many more ketones, my appetite is suppressed. And I'm like you, it's like, if I want to eat something, I eat it, but I do not have the cravings. And that was my biggest problem. I ride this desk, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And I'll go home at night and someone will say, boy, it's a hot day today. And I'll say, I couldn't even tell you. I never got outside.
Right.
Until the weekends. And so, it just helps with the curve. But it's burning. It's burning what I do consume. And so now, as far as religiously following a keto diet, I try and think about that. But if someone says, hey, Tom, you want to try this biscuit? I try it. I'm not like, absolutely not,
That's right. Yeah, I go down to my mom's and she always makes like brownies or chocolate cake or apple pie, and when I first went on the diet back last year around Thanksgiving, I was like, oh, I can't eat that, Mom. I'm like, I can't eat it. It'll throw me off my diet. And I was worried about it. And I was kind of anal about not eating any sweets or carbs or anything like that. And then I tried it and it's like, I didn't gain any weight. I might not have lost a pound or 2, but I didn't gain anything. So I thought, well, I can do that. And so now what I do is I have 1 day a week where I don't track anything, but the other 6 days I've got a diary on my phone. I put everything in there.
Yep.
And it's teaching me how to eat.
And that's it. That's 95% of it is breaking bad habits. And then when all of a sudden you can get rid of the cravings and have something additional like sizzle thin to help you burn the calories that you've stored, oh man, there's only one thing can happen. That's have great results. And so it is fun to see people. And with COVID, we haven't been traveling, don't see people. So to jump on a Zoom call with you and see that you're half the man you used to be, that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, and wait till fall, when fall comes and I'm another 30, 40 pounds down. I mean, I feel good now. I go for a walk with my dogs. I walk 3 to 5 miles a day. And and I can feel it in my legs because my legs are used to carrying a 280-pound person around.
Right. Oh yeah.
And now, I'm not losing any muscle because I'm
Right.
eating the protein, and I'm taking the sizzle rip to
Yep.
continue to build the muscle
Yep.
at the same time.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Well,
well,
great.
we're not here to talk about the weight loss, but what a fantastic product. I've been telling people that, back in April, it was actually April of 2019. I was reading a study that said that Mayo Clinic was going to be the premier anti-aging clinic in the world. And I thought, well, that's interesting because they treat cancer, and that's what everybody thinks of Mayo Clinic for. And so I went on their website and I tried to find, what are they talking about? What's going to make Mayo Clinic the premier anti-aging clinic in the world? And they were doing a study. They were taking a chemo drug called distatinib, and they were combining it with a nutritional product called Guesertin and an extract from black tea. And they were doing senolytics. They were getting into senolytics with this because they found that the combination of those things caused the body to get rid of these senescent stem cells. And I thought, well, who's going to want to do chemo for anti-aging? I mean, to me, it's like, if I'm a doctor and I say, hey, Tom, I'm going to give you chemo, it's anti-aging. Of course it's anti-aging because it's going to kill you. The opposite of aging is dying. And so it is anti-aging. It stops the aging process. But I decided I'm going to look into it further. And it took me about a half hour of digging to figure out, why did Mayo Clinic go with distatinib as their choice. And that's when I found out about Fisetin.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so they were basically trying to find a drug that acted like this extract from strawberries called Fisetin. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? I said, and I thought, obviously Fisetin must work if Mayo Clinic's going to try and copy it with a drug. And so I started taking Fisetin. Then your dad and I were talking, and he said, hey, I'm coming up with this great new product. And I said, it doesn't have anything to do with senolytics, does it? and he kind of, you could tell there was a pause, and he said, how'd you know that? And I told him what I just told you. And he said, well, actually, he said, yeah. He said, how much Fisetin you taking? And I said, well, I'm taking 100 milligrams. And he said, oh, that's not enough. Yeah, it's not enough. You got to take triple that dose. And I'm like, wow. He said, but when we come out with our products, it's going to be so much better. So I just sat there and I waited. And then in December, when I was planning my trip down to Australia and New Zealand, he started sending me all this research because he said, Kurt, he said, I want you to know as much as we know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got on my computer, I've got a file like that thick. It takes up probably half my computer memory, all these files that your dad sent me. And I studied them and I learned them, and I studied them and I learned them. I put together a slideshow. And then, of course, right before I headed for Australia, January of 2020, COVID.
Yep. Yeah.
And everything, all of a sudden, your dad got a hold of me and said, Kurt, he said, don't talk about the senolytics as much. Talk about this, and because the focus all of a sudden switched. So really, here we have a product that should have been, up on the marquee of the biggest theaters in the world. It should have been everywhere, in my opinion. But instead, it got pushed behind the scenes because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're exactly right.
And so now that we've got kind of this COVID thing, I mean, I'm not going to say we have it under control because now they're having all these mutants and all these different things, but I think we've got it under control enough that we can get people to put their focus back on.
Right.
And get back into aging.
Yeah, and it's a huge issue and has been for tens of thousands of years. And as people on the call today know, that my father and I, we've dedicated over 30 some odd years into research. And as dad started to age, he definitely had more of an interest in what would reverse aging. I mean, he definitely knew the top geneticists out there showed that we could live to be 125 to 150, but it wouldn't stop the school bus from running you over. Or in my father's case, it wouldn't stop blood clots from the leg surgery he had years prior, and eventually ended up being his demise. But there's things outside of our good health that we can't control, but there's great things in our health we can control with diet. You hit on an interesting point there, talking to the doctors about taking chemotherapy, taking a drug to get rid of senescent cells and creating apoptosis and basically clearing the way for a healthy cell to generate and duplicate and give a new birth to your cellular biology. But the key word you said, they're working on a drug. I can't tell you how many doctors that I've told and talked about natural medicine or natural ingredients that achieve dynamic results. And I've seen it time and time again for 30 years ago. But one thing that a lot of them flat out tell me, oh, Tom, that'll never work. I said, well, I know it works. No, it won't work in the pharmaceutical industry because you can't patent it. And so because of that, we have to use this and that, come up with something unique, peer reviewed, get a patent pending, get a patent number so that we can make money on it. And that's the cold hard facts about business, is that you have to do that, especially, when you're running hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in an institution. They have to have something unique to what they're doing. And you can't patent these natural substances. And, going back to the 80s, my dad first went to China, and because he was so excited about what he discovered in the late 70s with the Ming Dynasty tombs and the pharmaceutical card. And it had their studies and it had to do with longevity. And since that time, we've always had that as a real foundational element to really watch what's out there, learning from the past, taking advantage of modern science, and watching what happens with good health. And so we're a real combination of everything. I love science. I graduated from the University of Utah, and I thoroughly enjoyed everything I learned in the labs and at the different centers there and the different colleges and my cellular biology instructors and teachers, and found it fascinating. And back to that time, they hadn't even come up with the human genome yet. They hadn't even mapped it at that point. But one thing I did know is, having my dad as my father, is that there's power in good nutrition. And so as modern science could start to show what genes acted in different ways and how to turn them on, how to turn them off, and what they did and how they were expressed, well, then you have the natural science, and you could start to say, oh, this is why digitalis found in foxglove will lower blood pressure. And this is why some forms of natural statins lower cholesterol. And so the pieces started coming together. And so as science, talking about stemolenic, as science started identifying, I remember at the University of Utah, we were studying stem cells, and we would use, frog eggs and salamander eggs and things, and try to figure out at what point does a cell become differentiated, meaning at some point that cell can become an ear, a nose, a leg, a heart, a lung, in developmental phases. At first, when you have a blastoma, all the cells are the same, and they don't know what they're going to become. But as different concentrations of chemicals and molecules and proteins are exposed to that, it hits a certain point that it says, I am only going to be a cell, an osteocyte in a bone, and that I no longer can do that, go any other way. And so to figure that out, but as science has progressed, they realize that there are cells that are taking up good space. It's kind of like having a 100-year-old apple tree. Well, it doesn't bear the fruit of a 5 or 6-year-old apple tree. They're not as big, they're not as lush, they're not as many, they don't produce. The same is true with a stem cell. It can only duplicate so many times. And because of, I don't know if we'll have time to go into TSX, but another great product, and the age pill also, it's really kind of the package. If you're looking for dynamic cellular health, you've got 30 to 40 trillion cells that make up your body. And those are the very basic units that make you up as an individual, and they all are ran by electrical currents. And so TSX and HPL are other dynamic products that maybe we can do another call on. So as scientists had confirmed and found, and as they recognized that after so many duplications, these cells, are like the 100-year-old apple tree. Part of it's dead, doesn't bear the fruit, doesn't work as well. And so they start to emit chemicals that many of them are toxic to the system, and they negatively affect other cells around them. And they're taking up valuable real estate that a new young stem cell could take. And so our immune system naturally will attack these cells and break them up and try and make space for that. The problem we have is that aging is complicated, and as we know, the resveratrol, we're consuming that. The sirtuin gene is kicked on by taking this simple extract that comes from 3 or 4 different sources. Muscadine grapes, Japanese knapweed are very high in that. It turns that gene on to keep our hormone levels up and everything. Because as we age, my main point being is our immune system goes down. Well, at some point, as we age, and aging is a lot of things that cause that too. Just because you're 80 doesn't mean you're old, and just because you're 30 doesn't mean you're young either. What we're exposed to in the environment really determines what our biological age is. But as that happens, our immune system cannot remove these senescent cells. We can't get them out of the way. They're taking up valuable real estate. And even when our immune system does attack them and goes to remove them, there's all types of cellular decay and debris that's in the way. And so this formulation, my father found it very fascinating. And some of the ingredients, like the ficicin that you were talking about, I gave him a lot of that research as he spent 2 or 3 years really diving into what is a zombie cell, what's happening when they're emitting these toxic products out of them, and you have a weakened immune system, and how come it's not functioning properly, and really what it came down to is they need to be removed, and they need to be removed efficiently, because as we age, we cannot we can't get them out of the way quick enough. And so this is a unique compound. There's about 220 different types of different toxins and things that these different types of cells emit, and we need to get them out. And really, all of the Sizzle products are designed really around the cell. You have Spectromax to remove the toxins. It's the most broad spectrum antioxidant out there, and many of these are free radicals that are being emitted. We have TSX to help repair the DNA by increasing and supporting the production of telomerase so that these cells last longer. We have the age pill that helps to remove the clutter within the cell to slow the aging process and make it work incredibly. It's like when you buy a new car, you think, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to wash it every week. I'm going to change the oil every 2,500 miles. I'm going to keep it lubed. I'm going to drive it. I'm not going to rev the engine up. It's going to get the best fuel. Well, reality, when it gets to 200,000 miles and the salt from the roads have corroded and it's got rust coming out, and It's not firing all 8 cylinders anymore. It's missing as you're going and the tires are bald. You think, I thought I did a pretty good job. But over those 20 years, that's what happens. And over a normal 75-year lifespan, the same thing's happening to us. And so if we can think about it, 2 nice things about it: it's never too late. You can start taking a product like Stemolytic that is a myriad of different ingredients that help apoptosis to remove these cells, get them out of the way, but also remove the clutter and the debris that they are putting through the system too, that gets in the way of healthy functioning. And so this formulation is designed to do that. What I did find at one point, though, was that people didn't need quite as much as what Dad was saying, like when he was telling you to take all that. The research was there that high doses were good. The problem is, Dad looked at it, that it was good for a 300-pound person. The average person is not that size, and everybody's condition is not the same. This is why I've actually reduced the amount and the price also, which is a nice benefit. More people can get on that. As you know, you're taking it every other day. You're keeping it in your system to clean it up. Put that in your system. And then also I found with the combination of people who were on the age pill, they did not need as much Stemolytic. And so by keeping the age pill in your system, you're taking that product, you're keeping the clutter out of your cell. Glycation is a huge issue in each individual cell. And really what happens is the cell just fills up with sludge, just like not changing your oil in your automobile. It's kind of like going into a hoarder's house who's collected every item for 50 years out there and jam-packed it in the house. You can't move around. The water doesn't run. The toilets don't flush. And there's a lot of issues. We need to clean that out. And that's what the age pill is designed to do. And these have hard science behind these. If you want to take the time, I mean, we've taken years to go through them, but if you want, you can take the time and go through these ingredients piece by piece, and they're very dynamic to see what they do. But the age pill is really vital to keep the cell functioning, along with TSX and our hydrogen product also, because you need hydrogen in there to produce ATP. And ATP is basically your currency and your current for the cell. That's the energy that everything runs off. When I move my finger, I'm using ATP. And so to have the clutter removed, to have hydrogen in our body, that definitely increases the energy level and our brain power too. But our cells burn sugar, obviously, and it's that burning, just like when you burn wood, you get ash, you get soot. But in a cell, when our bodies use a process called oxidation to cleave and separate a sugar molecule, and then that sludge that is left behind fuses to proteins that are within the cell, and pretty soon they get thicker and they get in the way, and things do not function as fast. It's like running in water to try and get from point A to point B. And so Stemolytic is a product that I highly recommend that you take with the H pill, with TSX. That's scientifically proven to help support the increase of telomerase, which helps to repair the ends of the DNA. So we get proper duplication, we get more duplication. This will make the stem cells last longer and stay healthier longer. And so it's a real 1-2 punch. And all of the Sizzle products are really designed, they are designed to make us live longer, happier, have better cognitive function, to sustain all of the free radicals we come in contact with every day, help us perform better. And, I'm not 60 yet, but I'm darn close to it. But I've never thought better in my life. I've never really in many ways felt better in my life. I mean, definitely I can tell that my joints are a little wore. It's hard to get rid of all those aches and pains, but definitely I've never overall as a person been better than I am today. And I really, and here it is Memorial Day weekend, and so we think about those who have gone before us. I'm really thinking a lot about Dad and what I've learned from him throughout life, and you guys out there too. I'll tell you what, I learned so much from you and Doc. I'm so appreciative of your friendship, but most importantly, your leadership. You lead by example, just like getting on the call today. And I see the weight loss that you're doing, and the calls you're organizing, and the support that you give the field is amazing. Because like Dad told me years ago, knowledge is power, Tom. Learn everything you can, learn to understand it, but most importantly, learn to implement it in a way that the average person can benefit from for a better lifestyle. And I've really been blessed by that. Doc?
Well, hey, Tom, I was just kind of jotting some notes down as you were talking. So when you're saying that your research recently was that, when Tom said to take 4 every other day, that was for a 300-pound person. So now you're saying for, somebody, the average person, 150, 180 pounds, 2 every other day. So would you say that a 250-pound to 300-pound person should still continue to take the 3 to 4 every other day?
I wouldn't say should, I'll say could, because really it comes down to how you feel. And one thing about it, after a month or two of being on this product, you'll say, you know what, I do feel better. I think that's working. Because the other side is the fact you'll say, because I had many people tell me, boy, Tom, when I take half, I think I'm actually feeling better. And I feel better than I was before with both, but I think I'm actually doing better. And so we just flat out went through a few months of having people cut that out and looking at the research and everything. But when Dad had a dream, it was over the top and everything. If an ounce was good, a gallon was better. And so he was going to maximize everything. And so, I'm appreciative of that. And I like that philosophy, but, more is not always better. And so I would say economically, and for more people to benefit, I suggest the new dosage, which is half of what we had before.
So another question that people have asked me, and I've thought about it too. What if I took 1 every day?
Wouldn't be a problem. I mean, still, I would say for you individually, what works for you, reality is about 80% works about the same on everybody, but there's always those outliers that, it's like my son-in-law, he has a daughter from another marriage, allergic to eggs. Well, we found that out the hard way. They came to our house when he first married my daughter, and my tongue's starting to swell, and what's in, and she has allergies to eggs and stuff. And so as a general rule, it would not hurt you to take it every day. And usually what happens is people with a higher metabolism can use more because it won't have a latency effect that stays in your system longer. And so people who are very energetic and really on the go, and they can consume all kinds of calories and don't gain weight, those type of people typically they could definitely take it every day. And so, okay. But it depends on your lifestyle, depends on your size, everything like that. So, yeah, but it wouldn't hurt to take it every day.
I tried that. I tried taking it when I was following your dad's formula. I was taking 2 every day, rather, because I'm a guy. I mean, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
We forget. It's just like you said earlier. You have your sizzle thin in your truck. You have it in your kitchen. You have it in your bathroom. Yep. And the reason that you do that is so you don't forget.
Correct. Exactly.
And so if I have to remember every other day, sometimes I go, well, was it yesterday that I took it, or was that 2 days ago? I got, and then so now I was just thinking, well, what if I took it every day? And now that I can take 1 every other day, 1 every day, that's easy to do.
You're right. It's funny. I have stuff in my barn that I think, oh yeah, I need to take that. I'll have stuff by my drinking fountain in my house. And my wife's like, why is this there? I said, leave it there because it makes me remember to take it. And so I place stuff all over. Here at the front desk at the office, I have the triangle of life and a little refrigerator there. So everybody at work remembers when they walk by, take your triangle of life, because we get so much on our mind, we get doing so much, we forget. So if we can have it right there in front of our face, we think, oh yeah, I need to take that. Because that's the thing about health and aging. It creeps up on us, just like buying that new car. I'm going to have it look like that forever. 20 years later, like, what happened?
20 years later.
Yep. Take care of your health now so you have it later. But if you are older, it is not too late, because many of these things can be restored and you can have the great health that you had 20 years ago. And that is definitely hard science. And we definitely are programmed to live that time. So it's never too late.
Yeah, that's what I read just a couple weeks ago. They really said, well, if you can get everything under control before you turn 60,
right,
you're going to have a major impact on your life. And 60 was kind of the age point that they set it on. But they said, if you get things under control by the time you're 70, you're still going to have an effect. And they kind of gave a percentage, I forget what it was. And then they went on to say, if you do it before you're 80 and these different things. And I thought, well, that's interesting, and like I look at my mom and dad. My dad's 83, my mom is 82, and really, for that age, they're doing pretty darn good,
I mean, now I'm looking at, they did it here at Brigham Young University. They're doing a study with ketones and the effects on Alzheimer's. And they have over 200 brain tissue samples from people who have passed away from Alzheimer's. And they're finding a dramatic effect that ketones have on dementia and Alzheimer's. And so it really kind of, and I got to say, when I first started reading this a month or two ago, it really made me start taking a little more sizzle things. I thought, I can artificially induce ketones that go to my brain, but I'll tell you what, there's a real effect and a correlation there. We don't know exactly how it meshes, but they're finding out that ketones definitely can help in this plaque buildup.
Excellent.
So, yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, I think the last thing that I was going to say, a study last year that I read, it said that the scientists have discovered now, and I was jotting this down as I was listening to you, that if you're in Japan, if you're a newborn in Japan, they say you have over a 50% chance of living to be 150 right now. If you're born today, your chances of living to be over 150 is 50%. If you're in the United States, they say that it's somewhere around 40% if you're born today.
But you look at it, this is really where Fucoidan came out for us, 2 decades ago, is that why do people in Japan live longer? And then actually looking at scientists who study demographics, that was one of the first things that impressed me. I remember showing that to Dad. They said, why can they leave Japan, move to South America in the 40s? They're the same genetics, same family, but there's a 20-year difference in lifespan. Well, it came down to diet. And then obviously, as we know, it came down to the fact that they consumed brown seaweed, high in fucoidan. And then at that point, we took it from there and developed to find out which had the most different types of fucoid molecules and how are they the most bioavailable. And that was determined by the amount of sulfur that was combined by that. So Japan has a head start. If you ever go to Japan, they'll give you a piece of a birthday cake and you think it's a piece of bread. They're not high into sugar. They definitely get by far more our super omega. They get the real form right by eating sushi, high amounts of fish. They're big into vegetables and fruits, so they're getting their Spectramax there. And so, I mean, those products sell great in Japan that we sell, but they naturally consume a diet that has a large amount of the supra or the EPA, DHA, the found in the fish oils, all the free radical scavengers. They're consuming fucoid naturally in many different dishes that they have. And so I agree with that study. To be born in Japan, your chance of and the likelihood of living longer is greater. It is right now, but it will definitely, they'll probably be one of the first populations that reach our genetic potential of 150 years.
There you go. So I know a lot of people are looking at your skin right now on this video. That's the benefit of doing a video call versus just a regular telephone call. And you know, you're the same age as me, and your skin looks fantastic. What? I mean, if it's not a long regimen, what's your regimen? I mean, because you're an outdoor guy, you're working the cattle, you're out there in the tractors and all those different things. What do you do to keep your skin looking young?
I'll have 3 days of definitely building fence on the mountain these next 3 days. But typically, I look at it from a cellular level, and I've got to give credit to my wife, because boy, if I forget rapid repair, I'll be laying in bed and she'll walk in. Did you take that? And if I'll say yes, or I'll say, oh, give it to me right now. But it definitely starts with a couple of things. One thing, the environment we live in. I feel so bad for people who work in a welding shop or a paint shop, because they're exposed to those type of fumes and irritants, because that's really the worst thing. I mean, if you look at someone who's smoked most of their life, you look at what they have done around their lips and their face, and the disulfide bonds, and the fat that's been removed, and the wrinkling and everything. That's because of exposure to that smoke. So first, I live in a great environment. I'm lucky that in that way. But I'm very religious on definitely cleaning my face twice a day, in the morning and at the night. And in fact, one thing that I've been doing, let me grab it. And I think, at least I hope they launch this today. And I find this to be a very good moisturizer. And, I've got to give credit to my sister, because she years ago had told me we need a very good lotion. And I actually have been putting this on, probably why my face looks a little bit shiny from this morning, but I've been putting this on too. It's a great moisturizer. And I think people will really find that fascinating for that product. But I clean it, my skin. I don't do I'm probably an average as far as oily complexion. And then transfusium, I won't say I do that every day, but night repair every day. It's like a religion to me, because I need that while I'm sleeping. I need that ability to rebuild, regroup. But there's a lot with beauty from the inside out. And I can't tell people enough about the power of Stemolytic age pill in healthy cell regeneration. There's a reason why a 20-year-old and a 60-year-old can work side by side for 10 years, and the 60-year-old will definitely look worse, because we do not have the hormone levels. We don't have that youth promotion that naturally they still have. They'll get up to where we're at and look just as old. But it's by taking products like the age pill Stemolytic, because I honestly believe that probably 70% of the quality of your skin comes from within. In fact, I'm going to be launching a product this fall that's a consumable product that will greatly enhance not just joints and hair, but skin will be a major factor for that. So I've already got it done. So we'll do that in the fall.
Sounds excellent. Sounds excellent. Katie asked a question. She asked, has the rapid repair, has it gone through any formulation changes? She said that she noticed that she thought it had changed some.
No, but it definitely has gone through some packaging changes with COVID. We definitely had to make some changes there where we couldn't get containers and things. I mean, I'll have to look and see, but I cannot think of any changes in the last 9-10 months that we've made into that formulation.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, anti-aging to me is so exciting. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. I said, you know, I evolved from in my chiropractic practice where, you know, I was treating, you know, just the regular chiropractic stuff, necks and backs, and I got kind of bored with that after 4 or 5 years. And I evolved into working with car accidents and going to court and being an expert witness. And then I expanded more or less into the anti-aging field. And back then, you know, 20 years ago, in order to really do anti-aging, you had to have a medical doctor in your office in order to do it. And I found most of them really didn't know what they were doing as far as like natural type things. And so then that's when I started studying it myself. And that's how I kind of, one day on my way to an anti-aging seminar, I was actually a speaker down in St. Louis, and I found out about Sizzle along the way. And and that's how I ended up over here. And it's like, holy cow, you know, I wish I would have known you and your dad, you know, 20 years ago when, you know, with your old company, because I mean, I think I'd be so far advanced from where I'm at.
Well, the nice thing about the old company, it gave us the foundation to build upon for Sizzle, because like I say, when I went to college, we hadn't mapped the human genome, but we knew what genes were and how they work, and science changes. And so a lot of this research that we knew there was something to, we were never able to really formulate a product and understand how it worked till we started Sizzle. And that's why Dad said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, let's do what we enjoy. And he's like, that's what I thought. So we build a bigger manufacturer. We got more diversified and specialized equipment because that's what we love to do. We love to research, and at some point, my two sons that work here are going to be talking about me. Do you remember when Dad did this and all of that? And so, but that won't be for quite a while.
That's right. That's right. Well, Tom, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I know you got a weekend planned with your family. Say hi to everybody for me, and thank you for taking the time for being here. I'm sure everybody appreciates it.
The pleasure's all been mine. I thoroughly enjoy it, and my hat goes off to everyone. Have a very safe weekend, because we need you. We need you healthy, and we have the products to do that. But the leaders that you have today, I'll tell you what, they mean a lot to me. And everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks, Tom. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.